G'day, g'day, rugby league fans. This is the Graveyard Shift. My name is Dubs and I'm joined by the Pole Man, and we are going to be your official, unofficial Melbourne Storm podcast. It is COVID shutdown in 2020. Times are tough. Melbourne has lost rugby league, although rugby league has not lost the Melbourne Storm. So we've decided it's time to bring you a nice fan-driven podcast. We're here with our Zoom cameras and we haven't touched up our beautiful faces. This is just naturally what we look like. The Pole Man, Michael, welcome. Good to chat to you, mate.
Thanks for having me, Dubs. Yep, it's going to be good. Let's just be honest here, though, Dubs. We're just stuck inside and we're bored. So that's probably why we're doing this.
I'd just like to say to the listeners straight off the bat that this is the product of two blokes who haven't left the house and haven't seen live sport for nearly long enough. Two guys who've known each other for 20-odd years now and really love our sport. And, if any shortcomings in the show that you see in the next little while, please put it down to an extended isolation period that we here in Victoria are suffering more than others.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's very, very be kind on us, viewers. This is very amateur hour, but we hope you enjoy it nonetheless.
Intentionally amateur hour, but we do hope to bring you some fun content along the way. And Michael, mate, this was something you really wanted to drive, and you gave me a little nudge to do this, which I think is actually really exciting because watching the Melbourne Storm has been one of my favourite things over the past few years. So it's great to chat about what we love, and really, I think most of our NRL media comes out of Sydney in Queensland, which is to be expected. We're the little guy down here, but Melburnians are actually pretty proud Storm fans. Even if you're followers of other codes down here, we usually get behind our team. And sometimes it's nice to hear, a Melbourne or a Victorian perspective about what's going on. So in this show, we're going to talk about a kind of weekly wrap-up of the games as they happen. We'll go through a bit of NRL general news and at Michael's suggestion, and I think this is a great idea, we're going to dig into the archives a little bit and find out a few obscure little rugby league factoids and have a bit of a chat about those as well. But here we are. What are we now, mate? It feels like we're about 6 months into the season, but we're only eight rounds in.
I think it was, round 8 on the weekend.
Round 8 on the weekend. Sorry, I had to check that, folks. Normally I'd be a little bit better prepared. But
no, 9. Actually. 9
rounds. Well, there you go.
Checking the ladder here.
Outstanding start. Note for episode 2, have the round number written on the screen somewhere in front of me. But 9 rounds into the season, although effectively about 4.5, 5 months into the season. Michael, what did you take out of our gritty win over Canberra on the weekend?
That was a bit of a buzzword from the win, wasn't it, gritty? Just before I say anything more, Dubs, like you said, we get a lot of our rugby league medias, Sydney, Queensland. This is a one-eyed Melbourne Storm sort of a podcast here, guys. So we're not going to really show you a balanced perspective, but we don't really care. So we're here for the Storm fans, and we're here to sort of voice what our perspective is. We'll try to be as fair as possible, but I think that's it.
We may not even try that hard, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so the win, it was good to beat the grand finalists again. Obviously, the big talking point after the game was there was 2 talking points for me. There was obviously Pappenhausen in his brilliant performance and that try, Billy Slater-esque, many would say. And obviously the controversy with the video ref call and the send-off for Simonson. I don't know, it was a funny game, wasn't it? It wasn't very pretty, a lot of mistakes. I thought, what was it, 4 or 5 dropped balls on the first tackle from Storm? Like, that was very frustrating, but we still managed to win. I think it's always a sign of a quality team if you can not play that well and still win. So, and it was good to finally get over Canberra as well. They've had the wood on us for the last few games, so yeah, that was good win.
Yeah, I'm going to pretty much agree with what you've said there. I think if you isolated the first 20 or so minutes of the game, you'd say we were very ordinary, and we were frankly pretty lucky to be ahead. We were ahead basically because of a shocking error in defence by Canberra, and we just pounced on that and stole a try, really. From there, you look at the phase going towards half-time, and Canberra were dominant for a 10, 15-minute period, including that try. They score, I think, was at about the 20-minute mark off the top of my head. They spend the next 10 or so minutes absolutely piling on the pressure. They're pushing forward on a repeat set to try and get a lead going into half-time. Crucial error, drop ball, knock on, turns into a penalty. That penalty sends the Storm down the other end, and from there came that hugely controversial moment you're talking about when Addo-Carr was making a run to the line. First glance, I thought, that's a penalty. That he's been taken down. Saw the replay, I thought, no, we're not going to get anything for this. It's just incidental contact. Well, the video ref, the bunker decided, and we'll say this as one-eyed Storm fans, the bunker decided for once to go in our favour, and we got an enormous advantage out of that.
It was 100% right call, no doubt in my mind. I mean, Simonson should 10-week suspension. Okay, that's how bad it was.
Yeah, this is
obviously I'm a bit of hyperbole here, but I mean, like you said, finally a big call goes our way. Dubs, at the end of the day, as our great coach occasionally says, at the end of the season, you imagine the law of averages, these calls will even out. And, we had a lucky call go our way on Saturday night. Ricky Stewart was having a sook, having a cry, all the Canberra fans. You didn't hear the Canberra fans saying peep when, what was it? Was it Vunivalu was adjudged to be out in the prelim final? If I was a Canberra fan,
if I was a 8 inches fan, inside,
I'd be happy that this call went against you in a regular season game. Okay, you lost the 2 points, and every 2 points is vital. But at least it's not a big final like we got that call against us in the semi-final last year. So law of averages, you're going to get the calls against you. You're going to get the calls for you, and that one just went our way. It's still like
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And look, not to put too fine a point on it, I really thought we were as good a chance as anyone going into that final series. As soon as we went onto the other side of the draw, you knew we were going to have to face the Roosters in the prelim, and that was not where I wanted to be playing them. I thought if we are going to have to play the Roosters, play them in the granny on the big dance, because that changes things a little bit. They were better prepared for that prelim because they had the week off. Anyway, don't look back, look forward.
Yep.
But here I go looking back again. You go to the earlier game in the season, I think it was the second game after the resumption at Amy Park, one of the few that was played there behind closed doors. And on balance, everything kind of went against us that night. All the little moments, all the key errors, all the key line ball penalties, all the crucial little moments seemed to go against us that night. And on Saturday night, I think mostly they went for us. In the space of 5 minutes, as I say, they were piling on pressure to take a lead going into about 10 or 12 minutes before half-time. Instantly, they lose a shocking and genuinely very upsetting injury to their inspirational hooker in the same play that they get a quite harsh sin binning, which results in a penalty, which gives us another set of 6 that we score from, and we take the lead into half-time. So essentially, we're outplayed in the first half, and we got a lucky try, followed by a fairly fortunate sin binning and a key player injury to Canberra and the lead going into half-time. Really, we're pretty one-eyed, but even I'd be saying if I was a Canberra fan, I'd be feeling like the world was going against me on Saturday night at halftime. Second half, a different story. I think I thought we actually wrestled some control and some momentum back in the game. It was a fairly even contest and incredibly difficult conditions. So let's be honest. Canberra on a cold winter night is not an easy place to play football. It's wet. It's cold.
There was a lot of steam coming. You say when the scrum packed down, just the massive steam coming up.
Haven't seen that for a long time. And I think the last time I saw that was Canberra. And anyone who knows me knows I'm an Aussie Rules footy fan as well. Last year at Carrara Stadium, just down the road from there, was the first AFL game played in snow. So Canberra isn't quite the most comfortable place. It did snow. It was the only recorded game of Aussie Rules footy in snow.
I was going to mention there was the Raiders 2000 and something. It snowed at one of their games. I think still the only NRL game with snow.
And just going back to the point about luck and timing, combine that with the fact that our key playmaker Munster has been out for a couple of weeks. We know it's not a serious long-term injury, so a couple more matches and hopefully he'll be back in the side. But the first 2 games we had to play without him were the 2 grand finals from last year. So you're thinking, oh, great, how's that? And frankly, a fantastic effort, particularly from guys like Smith, from guys like Hughes, a credit to...
Hughes has been stepping up the last few weeks. I've been really impressed with him.
And I'm going to have to say our mate Strawny last year, long-time Storm fan, called it a lot earlier than we did. I didn't have the guts to say that it was the right move to put Hughes into halfback, to move Papa to starting fullback, but it's obviously what we needed to do. The 2018 to 19 combination of Brodie Croft there and Hughes at fullback didn't quite play out the way we'd have hoped, but a lot of the grunt work had been done. A lot of the creative drive had come from Cam Munster. He wasn't there. So that left Smithy, as brilliant as he is, and Hughes to cover an enormous amount of that. And the part I was forgetting that just before the game we lose Sully, who's our most potent, one of our most potent attacking forces. So not only we lost our best, Sede as well. Yes, sorry,
I think Sully was out before the game. I think
Sully and
Seve. We had a last-minute team reshuffle as well, and it was someone else got injured in the warm-up. Tommy Eisenhuth.
You're right. So there's
there's
some pretty.
We're talking about having all the luck on Saturday, but there were some things that went against us as well. So
in the 80 minutes, perhaps on field, things went our way a little bit more. But let's be honest, the build-up and the preparation wasn't exactly ideal. I mean, talking about 3 starting backs out of the side and another good squad player coming off the bench as well. And that actually leads me to the second part of what I wanted to talk about. You talk about players stepping up. I'll say that I haven't yet been fully convinced by Riley Jacks. I don't think anyone has, but credit to him. I thought he held his own pretty well in a tough game on Saturday night. Yeah. And I think some of the examples of some of the previous fringe players who have really stepped up is really quite encouraging. And it's an easy one to say. We all love Brandon Smith and knew he was going to be a bit of a crowd favourite, but I think he's more than just a little bulldog now. He's quite an intelligent player, and I think he's really found the balance between when to let his creative attacking instincts go and also how to actually control that a little bit to be a creative and effective player. So I think he's really coming along nicely. And then there's someone like
his just watch his runs, like his post-contact meters. I think they were talking about.
It's unbelievable.
He gets tackled, but he still get another 5-6 meters. And
for a guy that size, that's exceptional.
He's great.
He's running like a prop. Oh, sorry, he's hitting them as hard as a prop and coming from the size of a hooker. Another one a bit like that is Kenny Bromwich. Always been someone I've enjoyed watching because I've always thought of him as a no-nonsense, hard-hitting player. And I think he's quite rightly staked his place as a starting lock or starting second rower throughout this season. So good for him. I think
Bromwich. Bromwich was injured.
Jesse Bromwich. Yeah, well, he didn't play. So Kenny played. So we didn't have Jesse Bromwich vice captain. We didn't have Cam Munster key playmaker. We didn't.
Jesse started but got injured quite early in the game, and he's gone for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, unfortunately, we'll have to manage him and make sure guys like he and Munster are ready for the back end of the season. But again, I'm not entirely worried at the moment. You look at other props who have stepped up or been able to step up. We've had the advantage that since about round 3, we've been playing Big Nelson Asava Solomona off the bench, and while you could have knocked me down with a feather if you told me that pre-season, I actually think he's found a perfect balance of being an impact player coming off the bench. I think he's been so devastatingly effective. But the fact that we can afford to have him coming off the bench with the options of guys like Finucane and Welch, I reckon our forward pack is batting quite deep at the moment.
Yeah. Finucane's got to make up his mind, though. Is he going to wear the electrical tape around if he is, or isn't he? Like, some games he's got the electrical tape, other games he doesn't. I mean, I don't know if I'm watching Finucane or someone else out there. You just keep it consistent. Actually, speaking of which, I think in the early stages of the game, Canberra just kicked it, obviously, a defensive kick, and Addo Carr picked it up, and I'm just like, go Justin. I just thought it was Olam. So with the change of haircuts there. So credit to Addo Carr. He really was able to he got that Justin Olam look to a T this week. So
he definitely did, and he's clearly trying to just confuse us, especially in games like this where everyone's hair gets a bit wet and dewy and sort of falls down a little bit. It can be very hard to tell one from the other in those situations. But yeah, I thought he was he really pulled off that look quite nicely. Now let's segue for a moment because we've talked about the game quite extensively there. Let's talk about the season in general. Apart from the cliche that we're in a COVID-affected season and everything is different from before, let's absolutely avoid that and talk about where we're at after 9 matches, and how does this set us up for the second half of the season and potentially a run deep into the finals as well.
I mean, I think I'm very happy. We're third on the ladder, 2 points off first, and we've had a very tough draw, especially since the restart. We've only played, I think, one team that's like clearly out of the top 8. And that was obviously the Warriors, where we put we get 50 past them, something like that.
Yeah, we piled on.
So we've played the Raiders twice, we've played the Roosters once, we've played the Panthers. The only other of those real top echelon teams we haven't played is Parramatta. We've played the Knights, and we had a convincing win against them. So all things considered, I think obviously, and then we've had to move out of Melbourne. So all things considered, I think we're doing really well at the moment. Is it perfect? Obviously not. It's a funny sort of, any sort of, when you look at NRL, AFL, any sport with a final series, it's all about peaking towards that end of year. So, I obviously trust Bellamy, and I'm sure they're working towards that, making sure that come finals time, we'll be ready to go. And, the main thing is we finish, ideally top 2, but, minimum top 4, get that second chance. And as long as we're sort of hanging around the top 4, I'm happy. And then hopefully, come finals time, we'll get some of those players to really step up. But it's a funny season. A lot of injuries at the moment. Roosters losing a few players, Hodgson going down on the weekend. So, it throws a bit of unpredictability into the mix. So who knows where teams are going to be at come finals. So it's just important that we're in a good position.
Yeah, and I think top 4 really is the crucial key. Last few seasons, that's what's been propelled us towards 3 grand final berths, followed by a preliminary final berth last season. We have, of course, got the home final in each of those years first up. That clearly is now less of an advantage than it once was. So finishing 3rd doesn't seem that big a deal compared to finishing 2nd. Probably the big advantage would be taking away the opposing team's home ground advantage. But home ground advantage for us now is just wherever it's most convenient for us to play. Yeah. And the fact that we might feel a little bit more settled, but we're not going to have that Amy Park, very parochial crowd advantage that, despite what some in the northern states might think, is actually a pretty intimidating atmosphere when we want it to be. Put 20,000 to 25,000 in Amy Park on a finals night, it's a pretty buzzing crowd. Yeah. So losing that, of course, will hurt come September. But even so, just the chance to have the double chance, the way we've played quite well against other top competitive sides this year, I really think it's anyone's game, really, in the top 4 and probably even the top 6 come the season's end, just because the travel, the lack of usual crowds, the change and disruption in the season, it's probably going to create a different dynamic in the finals. And keep in mind, a good finals run, you can smash and grab a little bit in this league. I won't disrespect Canberra by saying they smash and grabbed last year, but that qualifying final, they turned it on at the right time and pinched the result. And they very nearly pinched a result in the grand final too. And without disrespecting them, they weren't the best side in the competition last year. They just played well at the right time in finals. So
exactly.
When we had our big win in 2017, the Cowboys, North Queensland, came from 8th and very nearly, they got themselves into a position to challenge. And obviously on grand final day, different story. But anything can happen as long as you set yourself up in the right way.
Yeah, it's definitely true. And who knows? I'm an optimistic guy. Maybe by finals time, we will be able to be back in Melbourne. And one thing, obviously I'm quite pleased with how the season's going so far for us. But one thing I'm worried about that, all the players have gone up to the Sunshine Coast, escaped the Melbourne winter. I'm sure it's great for the first few weeks. But I think they're eventually going to start, basically, they're going to get over it and they're going to start missing home. So I'm just worried that might start affecting the team. I know the club and Bellamy and all that are going to do their absolute best to, I'm sure they see that coming. But I'm just worried that the longer they're up there for, the harder it will be. So hopefully, things can get under control back here in Victoria and they can come and the boys can come back home and to their homes and then feel a bit more settled. So
yeah, I think you've nailed it. It's really onto the extended football department, whoever is available at the club, to make the situation as comfortable as possible for those players, because it's fun at first. You get that kind of bonding nature of being a club, traveling together, living together. After a while, it's a camp. It's an extended camp, and it's probably quite a lot of fun at first. But even though very few of our extended club are actually Melburnians, apart from some of the support stuff, it is their home. If they're playing in Melbourne, they're living in Melbourne. In some cases, for 5 years or more now. The Bromwich brothers have been living here for a long time. Nelson's been living here for a few years. There's a number of players, Sully, Josh at Okar, they've been part of Melbourne for 4 or 5 years or more. So this is their home and this is where they're settled. And just because they're not originally from Melbourne, it doesn't mean they'll feel any more at home in the Sunshine Coast. So it's important that we get that internal culture right to make sure that these guys can remain focused on match day. Speaking of match day and speaking of coasts, travelling a little bit south from where our boys are based, we've got the Gold Coast this weekend, Mr. Pole. What do you make of them? And be nice.
Well, on paper, it should be an easy win.
On paper, which we know doesn't always pan out.
Who knows? Like, we're such a professional outfit. I can't imagine we'd lose this one. I'm sure Craig Bellamy and all the coaching staff will make sure the players' heads are screwed on, and they're not not going to go into that game thinking it's an easy win. I guess the question for me is, Munster, would you, if you were Craig Bellamy and Munster, Munster was named as a reserve, I think, this week as well. He was I think Bellamy said in the press conference he was an outside chance to play against the Raiders. So let's say Munster's good to go. Would you play him against the Titans, or would you just give him that extra week and then just to make sure he's 100% ready to go for the Broncos the following week?
If he's 99%, I'm giving him the extra week. And that is that this again is not disrespectful to the Titans. I've got to.
You can disrespect. The whole league disrespects the Titans. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, the results have disrespected the Titans over the years. Really, it's been a long time since they've looked like being a powerhouse. But we're not here to pile on them, as much as that would be tempting. What I would do is say to Riley Jacks, the reality is we're putting Cam Munster back in. You've got another game here, or maybe even a couple of games, to show me that you've got value to this side, and to say, okay, I might not be starting 5'8", but yeah, I can actually force my way onto the bench or to be part of your extended plans. You want to be in favour at the right time. You don't want to fall out of favour, especially when you play a specialist position and going into a potentially successful season. Because I think was Riley Jacks with us in 2017? He would have been. Yes, I think he was, in fact.
So
there are several pretty good players who have had to sit out finals campaigns and grand finals just because they haven't been in favour at the right time. And no one wants to play dead man's boots and say, oh, I got inside because Cam Munster went down with an injury. But if you can step up and say, actually, I can announce myself as having value, then you might find yourself playing a position somewhere on match day. And, as good an example of that as any is, let's go back to our first premiership win with Mr. Lazarus over my shoulder. Scotty Hill missed out going into that finals campaign. So best known as a winger, Matt Geyer was parachuted back into the side, and Craig Smith, of course, playing on the right wing. So opportunities pop up at the right time for people. And if you're Riley Jacks at the moment going, yeah, I'm a 5'8", but I can have value somewhere else, because who knows? Cam Munster announced himself as a player when Billy Slater went down, and we thought, oh, we found a long-term fullback. And of course, he's gone to 5'8". So since then, it hasn't been the case.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I agree with you there. I think, as we're talking about making sure the team's good to go for finals, yeah, I wouldn't risk Munster, even if it wasn't the Titans, unless this was a 100% crucial must-win game. I'd give him that extra time. Maybe the physio says he's 100% right to go. And you're right. And then it's an opportunity to basically put it on Jacks. Here we go. Cam's going to be back next week. It's your last chance. Show us what you've got.
Show us what you can do. You get the game, and otherwise you're back to being a backup, which isn't fun. It's tough, and you feel for players in that situation, but you also know that the reality is that you can't do favours for people. We can't have 5 extra spots on the bench for guys just to make them feel good.
And all Queensland Cup and all that's not running at the moment, so it's literally you're not playing. What you're doing is training.
And to be honest, you won't get a better opportunity than this. You are a direct swap for that player.
Yeah. So,
it's also interesting. I mean, what does our back line look like, and what does our forward back look like with Jesse Bromwich sitting out as well? Does Nelson go back to starting this week? I don't know. Maybe. One
thing we have to watch out for, though, is the Titans. They got a 40-20 last week, so that's
Michael. Oh yeah, I want to grill you on that.
That's a danger we need to watch out for. They're 40-20. Jamal Fogarty. It was a great kick, but anyway. Other than that, I think, you expect a professional performance from the Storm. You expect Bellamy would rip into him from all those handling errors this weekend. So you'd expect next week they'd be much cleaner with their ball, much better completion rates. And, if they can hold on to the ball, I can't see the Titans beating them.
No, and that's just simply a fact. I think we have too many good players, too many quality playmakers, and too many quality finishers. I think this is the kind of game that a Ryan Pappenhausen or a Josh Adokar could really do some damage. And I say Josh Adokar because we know the quality he has as a winger, and he's been good without being dominant in recent weeks. I think he was very good on Saturday night. But again, I don't think we've seen that blistering form consistently from Josh Adokar yet, nor had we from Sully when he was fully fit, although he'd been scoring quite well. If there's one knock on Pappenhausen, it is that he's not a first-rate defender, but he is a very dangerous, potent attacking force. So you give him a bit of space, warmer weather, good conditions, I reckon Papa could break a few lines and really do some damage against the Titans. That said, we'll probably get a tropical storm just to upset us, because I don't think we're going to play any good dry weather footy for a while, the way things have been going.
We're playing on the Sunshine Coast. So
of course we are.
To see, the Sunshine Coast public will hopefully come out there and support Melbourne. I know it's a big Queensland supporter base, so shout out to our Queensland fans if they're watching.
Long-time connection with Queensland.
Get out there. And on Sunshine Coast, about an hour north of Brisbane, so get up there, support the Storm.
If you're in Maroochydore, pop your head in and cheer on the Storm.
Yep. Excellent.
So Mr. Pole, we're in agreement that we think that we should have the better of the Titans if all things go equal. That brings us to the final phase of this little Storm discussion, and that is really throwing it open to an important, burning NRL issue of the day. And I'm going to let you set the agenda here. You kind of hinted at it before.
What are we talking about? Well, we're going to go through the scores here. Should we quickly?
Oh, my apologies.
Quick round wrap up.
This is clearly I need to have a better edited running sheet in front of me.
First episode.
First episode. Sorry. Sorry, listeners. There we go. Michael, I believe you're going to read the scores next.
Yeah, so Thursday we had obviously the Roosters get over the Cowboys 40-16. Nothing much to talk about there, although, I don't get to watch much of the other games, to be honest, but I try to at least watch the highlights. There was two of those. Ikuvali scored 5 tries, but there's 2 of them that, for me, were like, maybe because I just don't like the Roosters, but I thought they were very lucky to be awarded. One looked like a knock-on and one looked like his foot stepped out on the line, but it was obviously they were getting the calls that day. The next one was the Friday night Titans got over the Warriors in quite an exciting game. Felt for the Warriors. I think they're up 12-0 and the Titans clawed back. So who knows? The Titans may have a bit of confidence after that win. Rabbitohs got over the Tigers 18-10. The Sharks got smashed. So 56-24, 84 points in Penrith. Sorry, it was in, they played at Cogra for some reason. But,
they did, yeah.
And Scott Morrison was seen at the game.
It's caused a whole different level of controversies over photo ops at the football, but that is for a different podcast, I reckon.
Yeah. So Scott Morrison supporting his Sharks, which, everyone's entitled to have their downtime, but I guess leader of the country going through a pandemic, you got to be sort of careful where you're seen.
You do. You'd want to be careful. Let's suffice to say this: he'd want to make sure if he's there next week that he's looking appropriately serious, as if he's just there for a light break. Anyway, we probably should leave that one alone.
Yeah. And then Saturday, the Broncos finally broke the duck. 5 or 6, 26-8 over the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are now last.
Doggies
a lot of pressure on Seabold. I must say, I'm glad the Broncos, although obviously I was laughing when they're losing every week. For me, it was quite comical. But I'm glad they didn't sack Seabold. And same earlier in the season, the pressure was on Mary McGregor. Now Dean Pay's under heat at the Bulldogs. I think clubs are realising that the media just loves to beat, as soon as a team loses 3 or 4 in a row, the media just loves to beat it up. Oh, there's pressure. He's going to get the sack. They're having an emergency. And it's good to see the Broncos at least saying, okay, we've lost 5 in a row, but it's okay. We've signed you for 5 years. We've got your long-term vision in mind. I think Bellamy lost 5 in 2012 or something. We went on to win the premiership that year. So 5 in a row, I should say. So, I just think it's good that some of these clubs now are not, knee-jerking to sort of that media pressure.
Absolutely. This is a league where, for better or worse, and we'll leave the sports purist arguments out of it, for better or worse, we don't have promotion and relegation. And if you want a coach to come in and change something and build something, sometimes that involves giving him time with some ordinary results and saying, that's okay. We'll measure the success of your vision over the period of the next few years, not the next few weeks. So, we're used to winning and we're not winning right now. Well, name one club anywhere in the world that hasn't had a period of a few years in its existence where it hasn't, where it's won everything all the time. It's going to happen. And the Broncos traditionally were a dominant force for so long. This is about as bad as they've ever been. And I suspect they'll be okay. I'm still feeling a little bit nervous about the game against them in a couple of weeks, because the reality is the Broncos will live for us as well, because over the years we've built up reasonably respectful but fairly fierce rivalry with them. especially from when both sides were quite good in the early to mid 2000s.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. They're really, for me, the Broncos, they may not have the longest tradition, but they're really the super club. They've got a rugby league mad city all to themselves.
They really do.
Got great corporate sponsorship. They really should be top 4 every year. Like, I know we're talking about let's give Seabold time, but really the sort of level of support that they have.
Remarkable.
But anyway.
And well, just to go back to your point, though, Brisbane is a fairly big city, one of Australia's big cities. It's not quite as big as Melbourne or Sydney, in fairness, but it's got one team in each of the major codes, it's certainly got it's got one AFL team, which is not in its heartland. Its popularity is somewhat contingent on its success. It's got a fairly reasonable following in rugby union. The Reds are well enough followed there. They've got a solid base because there's enough rugby union fans in Queensland. League is what they really love up there. And the point that you make so strongly is that they have it to themselves. There's a million teams in and around Sydney. And then you've just got Brisbane. They're miles away from Gold Coast or from Dairy Farmers Stadium. And
they really need to bring back the South Queensland Crushers and give
Michael,
competition.
Michael, you are diving dangerously into the realm of obscure gimmicks here, my friend.
Trevor the Axe Gilmeister leading them out every week. Bring the Axe back.
All I can say is
captain coach the Crushers.
You better not be getting started on the Hunter Mariners today. We'll save that for another episode where you can dive into.
That's another rugby league mad. Well, that's our next game, I guess. The Knights, they went down at Parramatta 10-4. I watched the last 15 minutes of that game. A few unlucky calls went against the Knights, I thought. Oh wait, there was that bunker with the Eels that sort of went against them as well. But as I said, some calls will go against, some calls will go for you. And then the last game of the round, the Sea Eagles got absolutely smashed 34-4 by the Dragons, the resurgent Dragons. So Sea Eagles have been absolute rubbish since Trbojevic has been injured. So I think it's a good indication, I guess, for Storm, considering we lost Munster, our key player. We're still winning, yet a club like Manly, they were looking quite good, and then their key player goes down and they're absolute rubbish. So
yeah, they lost that creative flair. It's a credit actually to our system, I think, as much as anything else, that Hughes and Smith and even to an extent Jacks have been able to actually create enough to fill that breach.
Yeah. So that's that round. Now, so some general news. I mean, Bunker's been under fire a little bit. Obviously, our game, there was a call in the Eels Para game. I don't know what the solution is.
Well, let me just put it this way, mate.
It's just, for me, it's just the interpretation just seems to change every season. Like, it's like the rugby league, we don't play around with the rules too much, which is what I like. I mean, the 6 again, that's been a great introduction, but it just seems the interpretation of certain things changes, and it just takes a while. I mean, sometimes I don't, like, there's been a lot of these obstructions and players running into other players accidentally, and all of a sudden it's an obstruction or it's tackling without the ball, and I think that's an area they need to sort of clean up. But I think that's a bit of an issue. I think even the refs up in the bunker are confusing what interpretation we're up to. So, yeah.
All I would say is it's a very mixed blessing, technology in sports. Once upon a time, and I say once upon a time, not much more than 20 years ago, when video ref technology became a reality in rugby league, it was generally far less controversial in that it was usually down to adjudicating, did that player's foot hit the line before he grounded it? Was the grounding clean? And sometimes was there a knock-on or a forward pass in the lead-up? Now, of course, maybe I'm sounding nostalgic there and thinking there were fewer problems with it, but I think the more you give a video ref to do, the more you open it to interpretation, the more you are going to find problems. Yeah. And because I don't see any sports backing away from it, same with VAR in the UK if you're a football fan, and the ARC in the AFL, anything that's open to interpretation is always going to be, is always going to then have different interpretations. So I think we most agreed that it was not a professional foul that gave us such a huge advantage on the weekend. But then again, I suppose we could say how many of the set restarts that Canberra got, the 6 agains effectively, were reasonable and fair compared to the ones we did or didn't get. So, we can criticise the one decision by the video ref in the bunker, or we can criticise a series of decisions made by a referee. In the end, I don't see them backing away from technology. I see them investing a lot more time into it. So maybe it gets worse before it gets better, or maybe it never gets better, and eventually we do actually go back to a more referee-controlled game.
It's interesting, Dubs. My favourite football, like soccer club in Poland, Gekais Katowice. Shout out to any Geksa fans out there watching this. We're in the third tier of Polish football. We've had a lean probably last 15 years since we dropped from the Polish Premier League, and so I've been watching their games, and it's usually just one camera, right? You don't have all these 50 different angles. Was it out? Was it in? Was it a handball? And it's just one camera. There'll be something, there'll be a 50-50 call, a bit of shouting. But because there isn't these, you're not analysing every single decision by the referee. The players and the fans just, all right, okay, whatever, keep going. Like, it's not being shown over and over again, And yeah, again, maybe I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic that, maybe it just was simpler.
Well, you amplify it with social media, don't you? Because then it's on Twitter, it's on the feed of Channel 9, it's on the feed of Fox Sports, it's on the feed of the clubs, it's on the feed of the individual fans watching it saying, how is this a penalty? And then 5 different people have 5 different expert opinions on it. And in some cases, all 5 of them have a valid point. Is this in obstruction? Yes, by the letter of law. No, by the spirit of the game. So when it comes down to it, is the video referee wrong if in the bunker he says, well, David Dubs ran into Michael there, and even though he didn't really influence him at all, technically he kind of did, so therefore I can see contact, therefore I'm going to pay it as an obstruction, even though you're thinking, Jesus, it never made any difference to the damn try anyway.
Yeah, and so, if you go back to the Simonsen-Adokar incident, yes, it was clear Simonsen was initially going for the ball, but then his attempt in the ball was clumsy that it's obstructed Adokar from potentially getting onto the ball. So
you could make it, you could easily make a case. You could easily make a case. I don't think the NRL, when they review that, would say he was conclusively wrong, even if they all thought, well, I wouldn't have paid it that way.
Well, actually, I think what's Ashley, the guy I think he came out the other day saying they got that one wrong.
Yeah, but, okay, maybe they were just bowing to the prevailing opinion there, which is probably
biased Sydney media.
Typical Sydney media. I was going to say, mate, he could have hit Adokar over there with a sledgehammer and we wouldn't have got it. I'm honestly surprised Bill Harrigan awarded, well, the video ref did, that Jamie Ainscough hit on Craig 99. Well, he had to rip his head off before we got that penalty try.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't get much else. Well, Mr. Poll, we are coming to the end of our first show here together. Is there anything you'd like to regale our audience with before we say goodbye for the first time?
We've got a few interesting things just to finish up with. So, Dubs, I love to watch the press conference at the end of the after the match. I sign up to the NRL websites just so I can watch
stuff.
Get in to see what Bellamy thinks of the game and see what he's talking, and obviously the other coach too. And I've noticed over the years, Craig Bellamy loves the phrase "at the end of the day." He just uses the segue between. And hopefully some Storm supporters listening to this are like, yes, he does do that a lot. And so I've decided each week we're going to have an at the end of the day count. So I'm going to go back, watch the press conference, and tell you, give you the count. Maybe we'll have a running total. You can have his personal best. Maybe create an average per minute or something like that. Unfortunately, this week he only had one at the end of the day.
Oh, Craig!
Quite disappointing. Maybe it's I don't know why it was. Maybe it was the Canberra weather. It was too cold, but there was only one in there. But what I have prepared is though a bit of Craig Bellamy gold. So this is a quick little 2-minute clip from press conference. I think it was after we lost to the Panthers, and Craig was being asked about the rumors about the Bulldogs wanting to basically poach him, and also Craig talking about his future. So let me share the screen here, and we'll do a live at the end of the day counter. So this is obviously courtesy of NRL.com. I don't know if we're breaching any copyright here. I don't think.
If they find us, it'll be good to know that there's enough interest in our podcast. Yeah,
exactly. I'll be honest if they find us. All right, so here we go. So let's see. Let's have a look. Let's count as how many Craig says it. This is Craig at his best. Oh, the ads. Sorry, guys.
Well, we can say 0% artificial, 100% natural.
Yeah, it's grilled. They sponsor the club, so
They do. That's all right. So we'll just pretend that's not happening. Here we go.
Craig, did you have a response, I guess, or a thought on the story that was published this morning in regards to the Bulldogs pursuing you, or anything on that?
No, it's like, I haven't had a call off anyone. I didn't read the story. I don't want to read the story because at the end of the day, it's what's in there isn't true, because I think someone told me that I'd spoken to the Bulldogs twice. Well, I haven't spoken to anyone from the Bulldogs, so and I can't sort of wipe that out and say, the manager did. I haven't got a manager now, so at the end of the day, that's not an issue either. So I can honestly sit here and say that I haven't spoken to the Bulldogs. I think they've said the same. And at the end of the day, it irks me a bit. But that's part of our game these days. Anything can get written, and no one's accountable for it. But at the end of the day, they want to write that, they can write what they like, which obviously what they do. But Doon pays a friend of mine, and I don't think that's fair on Doon. At the end of the day, he's gone into a tough job there, and I think he's doing a pretty good job. And for a friend of his, and he was at our club. He started his coaching career with our club, so he's very well thought of at the Storm, and to put that sort of pressure on him when it's not true. Again, that's the wrong part of it. At the end of the day, it's no skin off my nose, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's fair on doing at all.
That story, where are you at the moment with plans for the future, mate? Have you given any thought to your coaching career and how much more Craig we're going to see?
Yeah, I've got a contract for next year with the Storm, so again, I'm not probably going to say what I'm going to do, because I don't really know, to be quite honest. But I'm thinking, I'm 62 this year, so I think next year that will be it for head coaching, without a doubt. But having said that, things change at times. I think I've said that before, but it's a young man's game these days.
So seven in about 2 minutes. I just love the double punch. He said it twice in about 2 seconds. So
putting my amateur psychologist hat on here, somebody at the end of the day is, Eddie, you're just wondering, how close to retirement does he feel he is?
Exactly. Yeah, maybe a bit of Freudian phrase he's been using more and more in these last few seasons.
It's not so much a Freudian slip as a Freudian leak. It's dripping away there.
All right, Dubs. And the last little thing I've prepared for our viewers is a meme review. All right.
Oh, lovely. Let's see it, mate.
Big fan of the NRL memes. So Simpsons NRL-related memes is generally where I get most of my stuff. But there's a few other Facebook groups I was searching around. So I apologise if I don't credit them. I think one of them has like a little watermark, NRL Sledging Rebels or something like that. But let me share the screen. So here we go. So here's the first one. It's got Homer Simpson. I think this was posted. Hang on, let me make it big. I think this was posted after the Thursday's game, but I think this is very relevant to our game against Canberra as well.
Oh yes, it was greasy, as Homer said to poor old Squeaky Boy Steve in the Simpsons. There, the Squeaky Boy Steeden even comes off quite nicely there. Very nice there. I feel like we're on Insiders here, reviewing the political cartoons out of the major papers. This is very intellectual stuff.
I was thinking more PewDiePie meme review. This one, I think this one was before last weekend, but I thought this one was pretty good too. Queensland's best rugby league team.
Yikes. Love it.
I feel sorry for the North Queensland Cowboys. How have they been relegated below the Broncos and Titans, even though they're above them?
Oh, wow. That's painful.
Yeah. Anyway, that was
they were grand finalists a couple of years ago.
If we did this show last week, all the memes would have been about the Broncos and Seabold.
That's true. It would have been all sorts of. It would have been let's be honest. It would have been everybody in Sydney pouring hate onto them, pouring scorn onto them for years of making them miserable.
All right, next one. Everything's coming up. That
is good.
Posted straight after the Broncos win on the weekend.
Beautiful, classic Millhouse reference there. Very nice in the flood pants.
Here we go. I thought a bit mean, but I thought it was funny.
It's too soon.
It was that he did have that weird step before he obviously went down, and I thought this was
did.
clever. I
And look,
chuckled when I saw this.
I actually thought he had an ankle injury because I reckon his other foot landed on Cam Smith's foot when he was trying to anticipate the tackle. He got caught flat-footed, and I think that actually is what knocked him off balance. So,
anyway, all right, we'll go to the next one.
I can't laugh on camera. Poor guy. I did feel terribly sorry for him. You never like to see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Good of Slick Willie, Billy Clinton there.
Most representing half of Australia there, if not more.
Full marks for the creativity of the meme. A few points off for getting a very low-res image of ScoMo's head. I feel like there could be a better version of that.
I think, they've probably just taken it from the TV. Like, they've probably screenshotted the thing. And
that's probably true. They could have put a really badly MS Paint drawn shark scarf on there or something.
Yeah. This was from Tigers. Can't remember who number 6 was for him, but that was a pretty nasty incident. But I still thought
that was pretty horrific. I'm going to be honest, and you know, in a way, the terrible photoshopped head in his hands is actually probably somehow less offensive than the real image looks like.
I reckon it looks like Kalen Ponga's head. I don't know whose head that is, but
I actually thought it was a wax doll or something. Not really sure what's happened there. I hope probably is his real head, but goodness me. It's probably the real expression he had with the boot in his face.
And the last one, definitely my favourite. I thought this was very good. The Warriors, we forgot to mention it during the match review, but the Warriors were, it was horrible. Horrible shit. I wasn't a fan of it. Everyone sounded like tablecloth.
You know what?
Clever meme.
It's a very clever meme, and it wins on relevance. It wins on clever double entendres, and it wins on the fact that we're taking a dig at the Warriors. Well done.
Yeah, that was for me. That was the meme of the week. So
absolutely,
well done. I can't remember where I got that from, but well done. It was well played.
You got it somewhere in your Polish search engine, mate. If the writing on the top left there was anything to go by.
Yep, that's it.
I'm just impressed that you are fluently bilingual.
Oh well, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of our fans grew up speaking another language at home. Makes it.
Of course they did. It's a melting pot, is Melbourne.
Yep, it is. All right, Dubs. For me, I think that wraps it up this week.
Well, Michael, it has been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thanks for giving us a little nudge on this idea, and we are definitely going to be back with the graveyard shift. And for anyone who didn't get the reference, we are referring to good old Olympic Park. We're not suggesting we sit up all night and do this, although we may sit up all night preparing our notes for it next time, so I don't get caught off guard. But mate, it's been a pleasure.
Bromwich Brothers.
No, let's not mix up the Bromwich Brothers.
All these years, I don't know which ones.
Jesse's got darker hair. And Kenny's slightly shorter and stockier, I think, off the top of my head. But yeah, no, they're both very good players, though. So, Storm fans, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll keep polishing it here. Leave us some feedback, send some comments and tips and thoughts if you have anything. Hey, if we got any viewer mail, that would be great. Send us some messages and tell us what you'd like us to discuss on the show and see if you like our analysis. And hopefully we do get some Melbourne Storm fans and we don't just find this little niche market of Sydney NRL enthusiasts who hate us and decide to ridicule everything we do. And if you do, that's okay as well. At least someone's listening.
Yeah, so thanks a lot if for listening to our first episode, and be nice. We're new. So.
And get behind the Storm against the Titans. We can't be there, but be there in spirit. Watch on TV. Cheer the team on from home.
Yep, 100%.
Take care, Storm fans.
See you later.
Michael, I'll see you next time, mate.
Bye.